Today, we're going to be talking about whether or not you need to be a CFO or offer big multi-thousand-dollar packages to be successful as a bookkeeper working for yourself, owning your own company, getting your own clients. And I'm going to cut right to the chase and tell you very clearly the answer is no. But then to dissect this, let's talk about it a little bit deeper and why I'm doing this episode to begin with. I got the question today in my inbox from a person who wants to start a bookkeeping business asking me, do I need to be more in order to succeed in my bookkeeping business? A business that they haven't yet started. And this is a very common friction point in the beginning of your business. And also this week, and I see them all the time, I was scrolling through one of the platforms, Facebook or Instagram, and I saw an ad for a five or a dashboard for like CFO advisory for your clients where you can sell $5,000 packages. And here's what I have to say, it's not that that is not a valuable service, it's not that you can't succeed that way. And it's not that CFO advisory wouldn't be right for a specific group of people. But it's not right for everyone. And it is by no means the only way that you can succeed in a business of your own. When we pull back all of the layers, all that people are really seeking when they're looking at something like being a bookkeeper or doing independent CFO advisory work is they're looking to make enough money to feed their family, live their life, pay their bills, save for the things that they want. And they're looking for a way to do it more autonomously or more stably. So, my past was in corporate accounting. And I was just talking to a friend today about she just got a new job. And there's already volatility in her new job. And she left an old job that she wasn't happy with to go to this new job. And she's carrying around, I won't even call it a baseline stress. It's a high level stress of what's going to happen next. How certain is my role here? How happy and fulfilled am I? How capable am I of showing up in my life with this role supporting me? And when you work for one corporation, like I did for many years, it is like there's two sides to the coin. Really, it's nice to have consistent revenue. It's nice to know what you're coming in and expected to do if you have that. In a lot of corporate settings, you don't. But with that stability that everybody tells you that you have with a job, and you may have things like benefits and health insurance. And I don't say that those things are not important. You may have them with a job and they may be a pro, right? That's a pro on your pro and con list. But you also have the cons, which are all of your money, all of your income, and all of your livelihood is tied into one job. And we all know that that can be volatile. And even if we don't see any need to think that our job is in jeopardy, I think everybody that's working a 9 to 5 carries that stress with them to some capacity, right? And so at the end of the day, you want to know that you have stability and security in your role and in your income. And that's hard when you just have one person who's paying that, one employer, no matter the landscape. And then you want to have a life where you have freedom, right? Where you have choice, where you can decide if a client is driving you nuts, do you get to make the decision, is this worth it or not? Or do you have to clock in and just do that job? And I say client because I guess I'm expecting that maybe you work in the accounting industry, maybe you work in tax already, maybe you're doing something with clients. Maybe it's not, though. Maybe it's not clients. Maybe it's something completely different to accounting and bookkeeping, but your role has no autonomy. So if you're doing something for someone that you don't like and you're doing a task you don't like, you probably don't have choice in that. So, when you're thinking about starting a business of your own, that's one of the reasons that you want to do it. Consistent income and autonomy. And you want to be able to have freedom to maybe do fun things. Maybe it's just start a load of laundry in the middle of the day without somebody micromanaging you. Maybe it's rest if you're sick. Maybe it's take care of a child if they're sick. Maybe it's drop them off to school and pick them up. Maybe it's go down to the beach and take a walk because the weather's beautiful. Maybe it's pick your mom up from the airport because she's coming in town. Who knows? But you want to have more flexibility. So those are the things that you're looking for, right? And they can be done in a million different ways with a million different industries and services. But for whatever reason, if you're listening to this, if you're thinking about CFO advisory, if you're thinking about taxes, if you're thinking about bookkeeping, you're probably an analytical person or you have some experience like that, right? And it's easy to jump in and think, bookkeeping is being sold to me in a lot of different ways as something simple and scalable, but it's also low level. It's also low paying. I might need a lot of clients. I remember very vividly the first time I remember where I was. I remember sitting on the floor. I remember pulling out my iPhone calculator. And I remember thinking, if I want to make $5,000 a month and I want bookkeeping clients, how many clients do I need? And I remember coming up with 15 clients on what I considered to be a higher end bookkeeping package, which is somewhere around, I'm not doing the math right now, somewhere in the $300 to $400 range. And I was thinking that's a lot of clients. And how do I get them all to sign? And it seemed far reached for me at the time. I want to say that within a year, but I don't want to misquote. I really don't know. Within a year or two, I definitely had 15 clients. Then we were surpassing that. Now I'm at 50 clients. And I have one solid team member at this point, but I've done it in so many different ways to where I have part time admins. I have bookkeepers who are doing 1 to 5 to 10 clients. I have now one team member who's dedicated, who works about 30 hours a week. And we're considering our next hire and how we're going to do that. I often manage some clients of my own, whether that's fully on my own or with a little bit of admin help, but I'm always keeping my hand in bookkeeping to keep fresh. And so we now have 50 clients, and there are just so many different ways that you can scale this. And my point is not to diminish the CFO landscape and to say that you can't be a CFO advisor or no one's going to pay you $5,000 or that thing that you're being sold to get $5,000 clients is a gimmick. I don't know. I've never been personally through one of those programs that teaches you to be a CFO and earn 5K packages. I have at times had clients paying me anywhere between $2,500 and $5,000 a month, only a couple. I'm thinking three. In my whole career, I've had some where they're bringing in more than $2,000 a month. But these were big clients that I had help with, and we were just doing a decent amount of work. Now, I do think that people can use CFO help. I also have a slight edge of me that thinks that not every business owner who needs help is actually going to show up and listen to you and effectuate change in their business. And I don't like to say that because I like to believe that when they have the tools and the knowledge and the education, they will make changes. But I guess I don't think that they need a $5,000 package long term in order to achieve their goals. I don't. And so I'm always balancing what can we do for our clients while earning a high and fair hourly rate while, producing profit for ourselves and actually delivering something of that value to the client. So I do think that there are some clients who need a couple of thousand or up to $5,000 worth of consulting and cleanup periods, or as they're learning the skill of their business. I think that that can happen, but I don't think that they need it long term. And so if they don't need it long term, then my philosophy is you will constantly be bringing in a new set of clients. Maybe you keep them for, I don't know, say 3 months to 12 months. And they're in that multi-thousand-dollar range. Well, you've got to find another multi-thousand-dollar client and you've got to deliver that value to them, whether it is just a rock solid deliverable or your time or your availability. So when they ask you a question, you're available, right? But if you compare that one $5,000 client in CFO, even if we pretend that it's not a gimmick, and I do believe that some of what you're targeted and sold online is a gimmick, I just won't say that with certainty. And I don't think that I'm not disparaging CFO offers. That's what I'm trying to ride the very clean line of. I'm not disparaging CFO offers. I'm just saying it is by no means the only way that you can have success and accomplish your goals of consistent revenue, autonomy, and time freedom, and enough money, probably more money than you're making now. You definitely can have that without selling $5,000 packages and without feeling like you're less than if you're not. And I know because I've done it. And I've done it consistently since 2018. And I have taught many others to do this. And if you're looking for proof, tune into my podcast. It's Profits and Prosecco. You'll find it with Profits and the plus Prosecco. It's on iTunes and Spotify. You can go to katiefarrow.com/podcast if you're struggling finding the link. And you'll hear stories of people that I've helped do this and people that have had success on their own. This is definitely a viable industry that is still safe in 2026. And your job is not at jeopardy of AI. And there is a way to make $5,000 from about 15 clients, which means that you can get to 10,000 with, I don't know, 30 clients, I mean, yeah, 10,000 with 30 clients, or you can make more. Right now, my firm is bringing in about $20,000 a month on about 50 clients, and we're able to do that with a team of 2. And I work extremely part-time in the bookkeeping business, and she works 30 hours a week. So it's very, very, very possible. And I personally prefer that model, and I can tell you that there's nothing unethical about doing it. We deliver a very high value product to our clients once a month. We know our processes. We have it streamlined. We know our clients. We work with them, especially in the onboarding stage, to make sure that we understand how they want to interpret their data. We teach them things they don't know because most of them come to us not knowing much about accounting at all. So we teach them how to read their reports. We break it down to English. We help them understand. And then, for the most part, once they've got that up and running, we're charging them a fair rate that is low compared to the rest of the money that they're spending in the business, but high enough for me to pay my team well and for us to profit and for us to do this on part time hours, because both of us are mothers of young children who go to school, and we are the ones dropping them off, picking them up in school, or we volunteer in the kids' classrooms, and we're there. And we have consistently held on to and retained a large amount of our clients from the time they walk into the door. I don't have all of this quantified, but I have a lot of clients who have been with me since I really intentionally started to grow my bookkeeping business 7 years ago. 7 years ago. And they stay because we give them what they need, but we don't shark them. And that allows us to have consistent monthly revenue without needing to go into sales cycles. Again, not that you can't do this, not that your model couldn't be to replace that with four $5,000 clients, because you can. But I do believe that there are more, proportionately more, small business owners who need a smaller dollar offer, to where you are really giving them good detailed reports that are both tax ready and understandable. And now you have your income diversified across 50 clients, not at the highest level, but at a no brainer level for them, where you're delivering a very clear deliverable without a lot of scope creep. That makes me smile because I was just on Threads yesterday, and it was like, who uses the word scope creep? Like, Chat GPT just told me scope creep, and who says that? I've been saying that forever, so it makes me laugh now. But scope creep is just creeping on what you said. And I do believe that you are in jeopardy of scope creep with a $5,000 a month client, because not only are they paying you $5,000, so they expect something of you internally until you have totally cleared your thoughts around serving somebody at $5,000, you will probably show up to prove yourself more than you need to. And if you don't have your deliverables and your promises and your caveats and your, how you're going to deal with requests that are outside of what you thought you were signing up for, then it's easy for you to slip into doing more. And then you're bottlenecked. And then you can't go on and add more clients. And so you have all of your eggs in this scenario in four baskets. And if one decides they can't afford this because they're probably bleeding money all over the place, which is why they need your help to understand it, and they've decided they're going to just do without this service, or whatever happens, why people change over in a high dollar thing, you're going to have more turnover in that. Like, whether you have some consistency or not, you will have turnover. And so when you have turnover, you need to find another client who is in the 5K bracket that will pay for that. And I can tell you, just by looking at my clients' books, this isn't the small business owner. This isn't the sole proprietor, definitely not long term. They don't need that. And would you want that? So you want to ethically serve them in a way where you're delivering this to them. You've got 50, or I guess if we're doing the 20,000, yeah, 50 clients that we can manage, that we've got well oiled and repeatable, that we know like the back of our hand. And yes, things pop up, but if we lose even 3 clients, it's really no big deal. When 3 clients go, 3 new clients come pretty quickly. And I'm always looking to stack. So if 3 go, I'm like, all right, let's get to 4 so that we're ahead of any other shedding. And it's just so much easier to manage the fluctuations that come with serving businesses, because as much as we can focus on, and I do focus on this, doing a really good job so that our clients stay, you alone cannot make sure that that happens. There are so many reasons why clients can and do leave. If you're doing a very good job and you have set things up and priced things appropriately, you likely will be able to reap retention for a long time. And that's the goal. but you will have some natural turnover. So when that turnover happens, it's much easier to replace a client or two or three in a bad season. Sometimes they do seem to happen like in waves. Two clients will go at once, but clients also come back in bursts. So it's so much easier to navigate that than it is to lose one fourth of your income, one third of your income, half your income, or all your income, because all of your money and all of your earnings are tied to a small subset of clients. And again, this there's a million different ways that you can do CFO. So I'm not saying, I really don't want anybody to come at me in the comments and be like, this is how I do it. I'm sure that you can. But the question that I'm answering is to the person who wants to start a bookkeeping business, but probably hasn't even started because they fear they need to be more, because they feel like, well, if this person is offering $5,000 packages, I must be missing something. It's just a different way to do it. And if your nervous system is telling you that this feels scary to you and you're feeling like you're not enough, I think you need to look at that and pay attention to that and remind yourself that the best way to get successful is to simplify everything, to make it so much simpler. Both, well, I want to say both, but it's much more than both because it's all over the place. It's in your marketing, it's in your client onboarding, it's in them filling out a quote, it's in your sales call, it's in your quote, it's in your pricing and how they pay and your how you keep track of your systems and what you do for them. It's all over the place, and it's certainly in your offer. And so if you feel like you need to overcomplicate the crap out of this, you're probably on the wrong path. Success is built on simplicity. And CFO services can be a great thing to add on for the right person to diversify the income that you're already making, but it is not something that you need. And you do not need to be selling multi-thousand-dollar packages to have success. And it is possible to manage clients, a lot of clients, and do it. Now, I won't say that it's easy to jump from 0 to 50 right away. I always say you go through pendulum swings, and your first 5 clients is something that you can get. And I have a whole training on your first 5 clients. You can message me if you want the link to that. But your first 5 clients is a block of clients that you can get without a lot of intentional systems, marketing, or anything in place. You'll figure those things out. But then you definitely want to streamline this so that you can grow, and you will start growing pretty naturally and rapidly after 5 because of the marketing efforts it takes to get those first 5. There's a delay in your gratification sometimes. So you do these things. And then months later, the clients will be like, oh, I want to work with you. Oh, I heard about you. I'm ready to get my books handled. And now you have an influx of leads you weren't expecting because you thought it was hard to get clients. Or you're doing a really good job with your clients and they're referring you. Or you're doing a really good job inside your clients' books and their CPAs are seeing it. And then they have clients who have needs and they don't want to do books. This is going to be a whole other episode. And so your clients' CPAs start referring you because they like books done by bookkeepers who do a good job so that their job is easier. And it starts to snowball. So at that point, you need to take a step back, put some systems in place now that you know that you have the money coming in from your clients to systematize and streamline things. And then you do your jump from 5 to 20. That's typically a jump that happens. I don't want to promise that it's 5 to 20, but it's in that range. When you go from 20 on, you have to start really ironing it out, making sure that you're well documented. You have good documented processes. You have support. You have that trained out. You know exactly what you're doing. You're taking your time to train and you're making sure that you serve your clients first. And then you grow secondarily, which again happens on its own, or you can do it intentionally. And that's the way that you set yourself up for a future that is much more stable. So you have monthly, recurring, perpetual revenue. People like to talk about monthly recurring revenue. If you sign a client who's a $5,000 a month client for 3 months, some people might call that monthly recurring. But how long is your contract and when does it end? Because my clients on our lower level packages that are around 3 to 4 to 500, those will be monthly recurring in perpetuity until the client is unsatisfied, closes their business, or gets so successful that they bring their husband in to run their books, which I've had a couple of times. And those are times where you lose a client and it makes sense for the client. It's something that the husband could do. And that's a good thing because they're experiencing success, right? There are many different reasons why clients leave, and you will experience turnover. Again, I've said this many times, but it's so much easier to replace those few than it is to go out and replace a large chunk of your revenue. So, as I was thinking about this episode and what I would want to share with somebody fearing that they need to do more or be more before they've even begun their business, is there is really three big categories that stop people from experiencing success or getting started. The first is fear, the second is skill, and the third is strategy. And a lot of people like to put a couple beforehand, or they like to, focus on the reasons why something can't work. And it's fear and it's doubt. And I really challenge you to look at what might be true that is the flip of what you're saying. So if you're overcomplicating it and you're fearing that you need to be more, but you haven't even gotten started, let's flip that. Hear what I'm saying. Listen to me and believe that there is a world where it can be easy. And simplicity makes it so much easier for you to focus on one offer, for you to do one thing, for you to not get in too deep. The consequences are not that big. And you just focus on how can I do a really good job for this one person where the stakes are low? And then how can I make simple marketing efforts and clarify what I do simply. We're not trying to impress the clients. We're trying to simplify these things so that they feel at ease and this is taken off their plate and they get what they came to get. And then you grow from there. It doesn't have to be hard. So I challenge you to look at where are you stuck in fear? Where the only thing that you're guaranteeing by being afraid is that you're not going to do anything different. And if you don't do anything different, well, you're definitely guaranteed to fail the way that you're afraid you might if you take a chance. And it's really just about taking a step back and asking yourself, what do I want? Am I living what I want? Is there a way that I can take a step close to at least seeing if I can get what I want? And am I willing to try? And that's what I would tell you for this question about do you need to be a CFO? No, you don't. And I love the way that I'm able to show up for 50 clients with a lot more flexibility, a lot lower stakes, but we're still doing very high quality work that they need and they trust us and we deliver and it continues on and we are not on endless calls and we're not prepping in depth because we know exactly what we need to do and when we need to do it. We have diversified income, we have a lot of referral sources, and we have ease that we've built. It didn't just show up, but we have ease that we've created that exists in this system that's scalable and definitely good for somebody who's looking to actually live their life. If you're looking to just make money and you're willing to work 60 hours a week, which is not uncommon in the accounting industry, especially if you're going to go work for the big four or tax firms, and that's what you want to do, you're welcome to do it. But if you're looking for a nice balance to really be able to rest and breathe into the income that you are earning and know that you're doing something of value so that you're not questioning when is the rug going to pull out from under me, then focus on simplicity and ease and don't let shiny objects get in your way of taking steps and seeing what's possible, because the reason that you're overcomplicating it is because you haven't seen inside of how this works yet, and you haven't seen inside of what works yet because you're stuck on the outside fearing what might happen if you step inside. But it's not that scary. And you can take a chance and then you can see. So that's what I'd like to leave you with. If you have any questions, you can comment them below and I would love to answer. If you have a specific question, let me know. I can turn it into an episode and riff on that for you. I hope you found this valuable and that you tune into other episodes and let me know how else I can help you and what other things I can shed light on in your journey to starting a bookkeeping business so that you can have more income and more freedom and more autonomy. Thank you.